Assalamualaikum, dear learners. I am Samia Khan, lecturer of Matwal Haji Abdul Latif Bhuiya University College. Today I will conduct a class of third year honors Victorian poetry. Our course title is Victorian poetry, and today I will discuss about a poem of Alfred Tennyson. The name of the poem is Locksley Hall. Students, you have already known Locksley Hall is one of the poem in your syllabus. So now I am telling about Locksley Hall. Alfred Lord Tennyson's Locksley Hall is a dramatic monologue. You know that a dramatic monologue is a kind of poem where a narrator or a speaker discuss about a topic, and in so doing he reveals his personal feelings to the listener. Only the narrator talks. The term mono means discourse single and logo means discourse. During his discourse, the speaker intentionally or unintentionally reveals information about himself. So, in this poem Locksley Hall, we find that there is one narrator or one speaker who always speaks about his thoughts, his emotions, his past love, everything. Now, we will discuss the poem's setting. The poem is set in England at a building. The name of the building is Locksley Hall and overlooking the sea. In this poem, we find some characters. We find the characters of Amy. Amy was the woman who rejected the soldier. The second character is soldier. The poem's speaker was a soldier. Amy's husband, another character. Amy, whose character, Amy's husband, Amy's parents, other soldiers. They are the characters of the poem. The poem deals with the bitterness experience of love. Now I will discuss the summary of the poem. One early morning, a soldier asked his comrades to leave him at Locksley Hall, an estate on an eminence near the sea. In his youth, he spent many a night at the hall, gazing out a window at stars, in particular those in the concentration upon, and during the day he often wandered the beach while thinking of the promises of the future. In the spring, the night says, a young man's fancy turns lightly to thoughts of love. In line 20, you will find that line. And so it was with him when he told his cousin Amy that all the current of my being sets to thee. In line 24, and she told him, I have loved thee long. In line 30, they spent many mornings on the moorland listening to the sounds of nature, and they passed many evenings by the sea watching the ships go. Now she is out of his life, for she was a puppet to a father's trade and servile to a sewerage town. She lowered herself and married a man unworthy of her. Consequently, the speaker says her husband's nature will have weight to drag thee down. In line 48, he will treat her little better than his dog and his horse, and she will have to be there to humor him at his moods. But I had loved thee more than ever wife was loved. In line 64 says the speaker. The speaker breathes Amy for forsaking him, saying she apparently never truly loved him, and the day will come when her husband will die, but not before she has a child who will become the center of her attention. When her child grows, she will lecture it with a herd of maxims. Line 94, we find that telling the child to be chary of her feelings as Amy's own parents did, she feels could be dangerous. What is that which I should do? In line 99, the speaker asked, what is that which I should do? He would have been content to fall in battle to his enemies. Now it would be wonderful if he could return to his days of youthful excitement when he felt alive. The soldier ponders for a moment about the world and the future. Then hears the bugle call of his man coming for him and says, I am shamed there, all my nature to have loved to sight a thing, in line 148. He also says, women is lesser men, and all thy passions matched with mine are as moonlight unto sunlight, and as water unto wine. Line 151 to 152. The soldier dreams of going to a far land in the Orient with no trades and no ships with European flags. There he would meet a savage woman who would bear him dusky children in line 168, who could whistle back the parrot's call and lead the rainbows of the brooks. Line 171. But he relents and says he does not really prefer a rude and barbarous life. He bids farewell to Locksley Hall, hoping that a thunder will strike it down. Dear students, in this poem, actually the speaker criticizes the social environment that makes such unmatched marriages possible. So, I hope you have understood the poem nicely, and you have to, when you have go through the poem and read the poem, you will know better about the poem. This is a poem of a love poem also, and also a sad story of a soldier who has been shocked by his love, and the speaker on a visit to Locksley Hall, where he spent his boyhood, now he doesn't want to go to Locksley Hall, and he wishes that one day a thunder will come and strike it down. Locksley Hall will strike it down. The speaker would like to know more. The speaker no longer matters to him what happens to Locksley Hall. Courage and hope come back to the speaker. He prepares to go, perhaps to take up some other wild project. In Locksley Hall, we are confronted with the irresolute figure of modern youth, depressed and withdrawn by own inability to face the bursting competition of ordinary English life, disappointed in love, shallow-hearted cousin, and nursing a momentary impulse to restlessness and Locksley Hall to Locksley Hall. So the poem, when you read the Locksley Hall, you will know better. Students, in our next class we will discuss about another topics. Till then, goodbye.